All right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I am joined by Michael Hoover. Michael, how are you doing tonight?
Good, man. How are you?
Good, man. I'm doing well. Thanks for asking. Thanks for taking some time to chat tonight.
Of course, of course. I appreciate it. Appreciate the time.
Yeah, of course. So, for those of you that don't know Michael, Michael is someone that I actually go pretty far back with. Kind of grew up together, went to high school together, and Michael was always big in sports. He actually played Division I football at Austin Peay. Was a tight end out there, played there for 4 years, and then since has kind of been in like the business world, going to school for business and everything, and now is a working professional. So that's a little bit kind of like surface level about Michael, but do you mind talking a little bit about who you are, what your background is, what you're up to these days?
Yeah, for sure. I honestly think I believe we went to the same middle school as well, didn't we? Or am I way? Or
Did we?
am I off? Did you go to West?
Yeah, yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we did go to
Yeah,
West.
I
Yeah.
thought we went to the same middle school. But yeah, so it's pronounced Austin P, by the way.
Oh
um,
man, I just butchered it.
no, you're good.
I
You're
feel
good.
horrible.
Dude, I honestly, I mean, it's best 5 years of my life, but I didn't know Austin P before I got recruited from there, so no problem at all. But yeah, I played I played three sports. Actually, if you count track, I did four sports in high school, so I've always been a big about sports, big about having a team around me. And obviously, like you said, I got a scholarship to go down to Austin Peay State University in Tennessee, and right outside of Nashville, in a city called Clarksville, Tennessee. Um, got my got my undergrad in 4 years in general business, and then I got my master's in it's a communications field, and it's called strategic leadership with a concentration in, or no, it's called professional studies with a concentration in strategic leadership. Basically, it was the closest thing I could get to an MBA there. Uh, and I was getting a scholarship too, so it was a no brainer, and obviously got to play another year of football as I was redshirted my first year. So um, yeah, I mean, the main thing, I mean, it's honestly like it's like one of the most down moments of my college experience, but also like looking back at it, it's the most incredible experience of my life and the most satisfactory experience of my life. My first 3 years at Austin Peay, we were 1-33,
Oh
and
wow.
yeah, it was really rough. And then my sorry,
Okay,
and then
good.
my hold on a second, my bad, bro. You can edit this out, right?
I actually won't. I don't edit things out, man. We're going on
Oh,
the fly. We
I'm
keep it
sorry. I'm
authentic.
sorry.
No, man. And hey, to anyone listening, this is proof. We don't edit any things out here. We keep it all real,
I'm sorry.
unscripted, and just a good conversation. Yeah, but you're good, Michael. Go ahead.
Okay, so yeah, like I was saying, it was one of the worst experience of my college career, and also the best is my first 3 years. We were 1-33, so I believe we had a 29 game losing streak. It was the biggest losing
Jeez.
streak in college football. Um, we had a new coach come in. He really turned stuff around, got rid of the people that shouldn't have been there, and the next year we went 8-4. We won. We beat a team called Morehead State.
Yep.
The game we beat them, we tore down the goalpost. It was on Good Morning America. I mean, it was absolutely awesome.
Yeah.
So basically, what I'm saying is, we started off so bad, and I mean, came in with 47 people at freshman, and only ended up graduating with about 11, I believe. So that experience of actually going through all of that terrible downtime, not winning, not having really the fun, because winning is fun,
Mm-hmm.
um, and getting through all that, and getting to a winning team, and actually got some hardware. It's called the Sergeant York Trophy. We Tennessee State, Tennessee Tech, and UT Martin. It's like the best Division I AA team in the state of Tennessee, and got a little ring for that. So like, just sticking out through that. I mean, you have down times, and I mean, every aspect of life. I mean, it's football is
Yeah.
such a good analogy for life. So it really taught me a lot. I mean, you can have weeks, you can have months that you're kind of in a funk. You're not really, don't think you're happy. You're going through stuff, and you just gotta kind of believe that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, and just get through it.
For sure, man. And I think you kind of touched on it a little bit there, but like I've personally never played football competitively or anything. Like, grew up playing with friends in the backyard and stuff, but never played competitively. But from what I've seen and what I've heard from friends that have played, especially collegiately, it's a grind. Like you're doing crazy workouts, practices, games are intense, dieting, to stay in shape. You maybe don't have as much of a social life as maybe you like to because you got to be responsible, got to wake up on time, stuff like that. So there's so much that goes into it. How did you find the motivation to keep going when every day it's like we're losing like that must have made it so much harder to grind through it.
Oh, I mean that's why we came in with 47 people and only 11
Yeah.
people that freshman class graduated. It was incredibly hard. I will say that when we were bad, I mean, we didn't care as much. I mean, we had a lot of fun partying when we were bad. We didn't care. I mean, there was
Yeah.
nothing really to look forward to. It's like, all right, cool, we're gonna go and get our butts kicked again.
Hmm.
But I mean, it's kind of funny. Like right when we started like getting more focused and stuff like that, the parties kind of slowed down, focus the grew, and so that's basically that. But just getting through it. I mean, I like to think of myself as not a quitter. I'm a very loyal person. Um, I could have transferred out. I could have transferred back up home somewhere, but maybe played at a Division II school up there. But I was here. I built such a good family within all my friends and my teammates down here that I mean I was in it for the long run. I mean, and I like I said, it's the most satisfactory thing I've ever done in my life is just sticking through it. But I mean, you talk about the dieting. I mean, that's something I'm struggling with now. Is like we learned how to eat so well playing football.
Yeah.
I mean, we're in the cafeteria 3, 4, 5 times a day, just chowing down food because we're burning so many calories. That
Hmm.
now, I mean, it was a struggle. Like getting done with football, like learning how to like eat as a normal person. And
Yeah.
so because you're not working out as hard and you're still like, oh, I'm still hungry. So there's a lot of things that honestly I wish, and I've talked to some buddies about this before. Like I wish that there was some sort of like mentorship program or some sort of program for college athletes. I mean, because there's not many that go NFL. There's not many that go
Hmm.
anywhere in the pros. But I wish there was some sort of program to kind of like help college athletes, not only football, but just college athletes in general, like kind of move on to like their next chapter of their life because um, it's it's hard because it's like just a sudden stop. And I mean, I don't want to
Yeah.
sound like oh, egotistical or anything like that, but like as an athlete, like you're on campus, like you're just like, all right, like we're like a select few of people, and then
Yeah.
you get it, you're like, oh, all right, like I mean, I don't know, you know what I'm saying? Like we're like a select few of people, like we really
Yeah.
work our butts off, and then you get into the real world, and none of that matters. It doesn't matter that you
Yeah.
scored 10 touchdowns. It doesn't matter you had 10 catches. Like those employers, they don't care at all. So I just wish there was
Yeah.
some sort of program that some leadership could put together. I mean, it's something that I've been thinking about trying to like come up with an idea, and it'd be cool to have a collaboration of friends and people to come up with it because
Yeah.
it's definitely a hard. It's definitely hard. I mean, it's you go from being with all your friends and all those people. I mean, you walk out
Hmm.
of your apartment or walk out of your house and you're have 10 people around you that you know and you can just talk to, and
Yeah.
then you go to work and then you're really isolated a lot more.
Yeah. For sure. No, I mean, I love that idea, man. I think that'd be great. And, you know, I'm, I'm going to make this comparison and no disrespect to, anyone involved with like the armed forces or anything, but I kind of look at like playing like high level sports as kind of like coming back from the military in the sense of like, man, like if you're grinding like a sport since the age of like 5 and then you play in college and then you don't go pro, like that's all you know. And then you're going from that like that grind mentality, like from the kind of where you're saying to like now I'm in like quote unquote normal life. Like no one cares that like I have the most touchdowns in the state of Michigan. No one cares that I won like a conference championship in college. No one cares about that once I'm in the real world now. So I think I
Exactly.
like that's kind of how I see it. And it's funny that you mentioned like the food thing because I was actually having a conversation with a buddy that played at U of M, and when he finished his time there, he's like, man, like I just like kept wanting to eat like how I did when I played football, but like I'm not doing sports anymore. So like it caught up to me, and I was like,
Exactly.
that's interesting, man. So I think that's awesome that you like have that passion to, help people with the transition, because I think it's huge. And like you said, I think that we get kind of caught up in like the professional athletes that do make it, that we don't realize like there's thousands of people that don't make it to that next level.
Exactly. I mean, it's. I think it's like it's like some crazy 1% go from high school to college, and then like 0.1% go from college to
Yeah.
NFL. So um, there's so much focus on those people that make it, and
Yeah.
there's really not much that on the people that don't. And like you said, I
Right.
mean, no disrespect to like the people in the armed forces. I mean, obviously they're battling, and
Hmm.
they're doing the ultimate sacrifice every single day. But we were blessed. So I'm in Clarksville. We were in Clarksville, Tennessee, which is right next to Fort Campbell. It's the second largest military
Yeah.
base in the country. We were blessed to have a very, very close relationship with them. I got to go on base a couple times and like do workouts and just kind of see like everything they put into everything.
Yeah.
Um, but I mean, no, it was that was one of the most like humbling, amazing experiences ever.
Yeah.
But there is it is a total. I mean, it's a parallel for sure. Like
Yeah.
we're with our brothers every day. We're doing our thing.
Hmm.
We just don't have that ultimate sacrifice that
Right.
we know that we're going. I mean, you could die. I mean, at any
Yeah.
time. I mean, football. I
Exactly.
mean, granted that can happen, but it's extremely rare. Very
Right.
extremely rare. So
Right. Totally. No, I mean that sounds like a great experience that you're so close to the base and able to, connect with some of the people in that serve for the country, and work out and stuff. So that's really awesome, man. I have to ask, I'm curious, did so during your time playing football, like did you have aspirations to go pro, or was that ever something that you were considering, or were you kind of like, if it happens, great, but I'm not going to bank on it?
yeah, it's funny you asked that. I and I don't really tell many people this. I think those 3 years, like I said, I'm like, oh, I stuck it. I stuck through it. I did it. I'm so
Hmm.
happy I did it. But at the same time, I think it kind of it almost kind of like stripped away my passion for football during those 3 years. And I mean, I didn't. I just want to be done. I mean, I think a lot of people in any sport, college sport, or I mean anything in life, they go through moments where they're like, I want to quit. I want to quit. Um, I went through a lot of moments in my first 3 years that I wanted to quit because we weren't winning. But um, I mean, going from high school to college, I was just like that's all I thought about was trying to get to the NFL, trying to get to the NFL. But those first 3 years, I think it kind of stripped that extreme passion for football from me. And at that point, it kind of I realized I was real. I'm a realist. I don't think I was good enough to go. I mean, to the NFL or let alone a bigger college. But um, I kind of had to shift my focus into my degree and really really focusing on school and earning that degree and making connections and getting a job. So I would say I thought about it going from high school to college, but I mean, shortly after my first couple of years, it was I'm here for a degree, which um, people say it all the time to athletes, like you're getting your degree, like, and they're like, oh, I know, I want to do this, I want to do this. It's like, no, like you're getting a degree, like that is the most important thing because, like I said, that 0.1% of people from college go to the NFL,
Hmm.
and you're probably that 99.9%.
Yeah, no, I mean, I think that's a good point. And, I think like kind of similarly, I think, we're similar with our mindset of, dream big, have big goals and everything. So, having that mentality, like, I can do it, I can make it happen. But at the same time, having that like realism of like, I, it's a statistical anomaly to get to the NFL. Like, let me make sure I'm prioritizing my grades and my degrees,
Exactly.
and make sure I'm setting myself up for success. Because, like, man, even if you were the 1% that made the NFL, who's to say that your rookie year you didn't blow out your knee and have to quit?
Exactly.
What are you gonna do at
Exactly.
that point?
Yep. Exactly.
Yeah. Speaking of which, were you able to stay pretty healthy
Yeah,
while
I,
you're
I
playing in your
was
career?
I really was pretty blessed to stay healthy. I mean, in high school, I broke my collarbone.
Yeah.
That was like my most like emotional injury, I'd say, because we were on a good road. And I broke my collarbone, and then we ended up not making the playoffs. So that was like that was probably my most emotional injury. But then in college, I got only one concussion, which is good. Well, I guess one like verified concussion. You never know how
Okay.
many you're really getting in
Yeah.
playing football. But and then I dislocated my kneecap where it was actually it's called a sublux of your kneecap, and it popped.
Hmm.
I got basically the opposite DN came around and tried to tackle the running back, like helicoptered his legs into my knee. My knee cap popped out, went to the side of my leg, and then it's called sublux because it actually popped back in. If it would have
Oh,
stayed out,
okay.
that's dislocating. But popped out, popped back in, and then my knee swelled to probably 3 times the size. But
Jeez.
that's basically it. I mean, I was out for like
Yeah.
I was out for the whole season after that because I couldn't bend my
Yeah.
knee or do anything. But
Wow.
absolutely blessed not to have anything like any crazy ligament tears,
Right.
any severe bone breaks.
Okay.
But yeah, I mean,
Gotcha.
extremely blessed. I mean, my number
Yeah.
one thing was to get out of there, really thinking straight. Because I mean, football is those head injuries aren't anything to mess with at all.
Right. And it's interesting that you mentioned that, just now, but also when you're talking about your, health throughout your career, you mentioned you had a verifiable concussion and you just kind of mentioned like head injuries in general. Like, I'm really curious to actually ask you, like, is I'm assuming concussions are probably a much bigger deal than maybe someone outside of the sport really understands, right?
Oh yeah, I mean, I've seen people where I mean they're like my best friend or like someone
Hmm.
I'm like the same position as me or something like that, and they get hit in the head and they don't remember who anybody is, and it's
Jeez.
absolutely terrifying. I mean, they're they are not anything. I mean, it's basically your brain is just shaking around in your head, and it's like getting bruised and it's getting hit too hard that it kind of shuts down a little bit. Um, I did a um, my research paper in my master's program. I actually did it on CTE.
Hmm.
I can't think of this is bad because I did it in my master's, but it's chronic something. Super long word, but it's basically repeat head injuries and repeat concussions.
Yeah.
And this happens with, I mean, mainly football players. Anybody really with repeat head trauma.
Hmm.
Um, but 101 studies were done, and biopsies were done. Like after people passed away, I mean, before they passed away, they agreed to have a biopsy in their brain.
Right.
And these are all ex NFL players. Out of 101 people, 100 of them had CTE. And
Wow.
what it is it's called a tau protein that kind of forms on your brain, and it's the same protein as I believe it's dementia.
Okay.
And that's just from repeat head collisions. And that CTE, I mean, that causes random depression. I mean, random suicide thoughts. Just like crazy thoughts. I mean, you're always down. So
Yeah.
it's something that's extremely serious. Now I say this is mostly NFL players, but I don't doubt this is happening a lot of college players as well. Um, so
Sure.
yeah, head injuries are. I mean, if you're blessed to get out with a degree and had a good time playing and a great experience and you're I mean you're able to think think straight and really pursue your goals. I mean you're absolutely blessed.
For sure. Yeah. I mean, it's a terrible, thing that's going on with, just head injuries and, something that I've talked about on the podcast before and just like in my personal life, it's just the added pressure that a lot of athletes in general, but college athletes specifically face these days in terms of pressure, whether it's from the media, whether it's from fans, whatever, like, I just think about like, you hear, a kicker misses a field goal and, is getting death threats or, missing the big, shot in March Madness or whatever the case may be. And it's like, again, it's at every level of athletics, but it's like, these are kids in college. Like,
Right.
they're
Exactly.
going through their own stuff. They're human. And like, I just think of like the compounding of if you have like head trauma, like a history of head trauma, like, you might be more susceptible to, like you mentioned, depression or other kind of, mental conditions and stuff. It's like, if you're feeling that way and then you have all these people tweeting at you, like, you're the worst person in the world because you dropped a catch. Like, I mean, that's so much to have to put on the weight of these kids, man.
Right. And I mean, those people that are sending those messages and sending tweets and stuff like that, they wouldn't last 5 seconds on the field
Right.
normally. So
Yeah.
it's um, the day and age we have. I mean, our society nowadays with social media and how fast stuff is as seen and sent, it's unbelievable. And these, I don't know. I was actually just talking to my friend regarding social media not too long ago, and it's
Yeah.
just that instant satisfaction that people get from social media is it's not real life at all. So
No.
I mean, I guess it is kind of real life nowadays, but you know what I mean. It's on your phone. It's not
Yeah.
in person. It's not face to face.
Right. It's wild how like I think technology it can be a blessing and a curse, right? I mean, it's awesome to even for you and I to have this conversation, from Michigan to Tennessee, to be able to talk and connect and everything. But at the same time, like you said, it's kind of that instant gratification, and it's so easy to compare my life to so and so's life because I see that they're out doing this and that, and I'm not. So I think it's
Exactly.
one of those
No,
things. Yeah, it's tough.
I honestly think that that has a lot to do with many insecurities, many
Yeah.
mental health problems. You see people. I mean, I'm a single guy. I'm 25 years old, and I see these people that are my age, maybe younger than me, that are um, shoot in the NFL, in the
Yeah.
NBA, getting married, having kids, stuff like that. And you look
Yeah.
at that and you compare yourself to that, and it's like, like there's really no reason to compare yourself to anybody. It's everybody has their own demons. Everybody has their own happiness. I mean, you just gotta really find your own happiness within yourself and um, truly find it before you're really able to bring it on upon others.
Totally. And I think it's kind of one of those things where it's like, I might be looking at Michael's life and going like, oh man, like he has this and that. Like I wish that was me. But like Michael might be sitting on the other side of the phone saying like, oh, Zach's doing this and that. Like I
Right?
wish I
Yeah.
was
I
doing
wish I
that.
had a
So it's like,
podcast. I literally I wish I had a podcast. I do.
so
So
yeah,
yeah.
that's the thing, man. Like even like we compare ourselves to these other people and like they're probably comparing themselves to us or others. And it's like this cycle where we all do it.
Exactly. Yeah. It's yeah. It's social media. I mean, it's absolutely revolutionary. It's amazing. I mean, really,
Yeah.
the only reason I really have a Twitter still is just like how fast the news gets to me.
Right.
Whether it's I mean, it's mostly sports, but like political news. I mean, world news, sports. I can access it immediately, but
Exactly.
um, I want to delete it so bad. But it's just, I mean, it's like it's literally like an addiction. It's like
Right.
I need it for my news.
Yeah, for sure, man. And I think so. Something you mentioned is you're 25. When you kind of talked about your kind of like the introduction of yourself, played sports in college,
Mhm.
got your degree, got your master's, and everything. Now you're in the quote unquote real world, 25, trying to find what the future holds for you. How's that kind of like transition been for you?
Um, well, I talk to my mom a lot, and
Yeah,
I would say growing up is absolutely. I mean, it is so hard, but
yeah,
like sometimes you think like, oh, I don't think it's impossible to grow up. It's impossible, but
yeah,
I mean, you look around and you're like, oh, well, he did it, she did it, blah blah blah. So,
yeah,
um, transition from like being in sports to like being in the real world. I mean, I'm big on teams, obviously. I'm big on teamwork,
yep,
so I always just try to surround myself with a team. I got a job out of college that was like media and advertising and marketing, and had a team there, and I loved the team. It was, I mean, it was really fun. I really learned how to sell and do sales. Um, I really just try to use my personality and my passion for people to do that. But now I moved into this. I work for a bank now, and and again, just surrounding myself with a great team, great culture, and surrounding myself with people that I can and that I can help out. So
yeah,
it's I I don't really think I realize and appreciate how much I've brought from the athletic world and the sports world of that I was blessed to live in for shoot 18 nope 20 2 years into the real world. But really having this discussion with you makes me realize like, wow, like I've brought in over a lot of those like soft skills that I had
Yeah.
in that world over into this new world that it literally is like a new world. I mean, you go from being
Right.
in college and not making any money to making money, but then you start having more bills
Yeah.
and you have more responsibilities that you didn't even think about a week ago. So the transition is hard. I think growing up is it's obviously easier for some people, but I think it's absolutely the hardest thing in the world for some.
Yeah. No, I agree, man. And I think it's like it's one of those things where we think back to when we were younger and we're like, oh, I want to grow up. Or maybe you're in college and you're like, I can't wait to have my own place. Like I hate these roommates or you don't hate
Right.
them, but they get under your skin or whatever. They leave the dishes out. You're like I want to be in my own place. I want to have my own house, whatever. And then once we get to this stage of life, it's almost like, well, shoot, now we're here. And like no one told me it'd be like, so hard to make sure you're paying your bills on time and, paying off that mortgage or whatever the case may be. So I
Exactly.
think
Yeah.
like growing up in adulthood is so tough, but it's something that like we don't really talk about that much. And I think, like you said, you see people like, oh, so and so has done it, they've done it. My parents did it, my family's done it. So like we can all do it. I don't have any doubt about that. But I think it's just one of those things where like we don't really realize how tough it truly is until like we're there.
Yeah, yeah, and I think the biggest thing is not to really look forward too much.
Yeah,
It's really to live in the moment. You got to really live in the moment of every aspect of your life. Like you were just saying, like, oh, I didn't like these roommates. They were too messy. They were blah blah blah. But it's like when they're gone and you're living by yourself. It's like, man, I would do anything to go back to those days.
yeah,
Because everything in life has an expiration date. Everything. And if you
yeah,
don't live in the moment, you wish you're past it all, and you wish you were back in time, you never can really truly appreciate the moment that you're actually in. So, um, I think that's a really big thing that a lot of people need to learn, and
hmm,
especially myself. I mean, just living in the moment and appreciating everything that is in that specific moment, because it won't be the same the next day. It won't be the same the next week. So,
yeah. I love hearing you
yeah,
say that. I think for me, the biggest life lesson that I've had, so far in 25 years is, like you said, be present, be in the moment. I think that it's so easy for everyone, including myself. I'm still guilty of it, of like thinking back to the past and being like, oh man, like I wish I was back in high school, or like I didn't have
right.
bills then, or like I can't wait till I'm 30 and, have my own place and I don't have to worry about classes anymore, or whatever. But it's like, just be here, be now, be present, be in the moment, because like we only have this moment, right? Like, I mean, when you get caught up in the past, when you get caught up in the future, you're kind of just running yourself into the ground. It's kind of like control what you can control. Like, I have no idea what could happen tomorrow or let alone, next year. So let me just focus on this moment and just be really here to enjoy it. And even if like you're going through the rough points, even if you're 1 in 33, just enjoy it. It is like weird as that might sound, because it's like those are the times where you might like look back and you're like, man, like that was a grind. I was a little miserable, but like that was like when I really grew, or that's when I really learned, or when I need to experience what was meant for me at that time.
Absolutely. Yeah. I would be absolutely lying to you right now if I said I don't wish I was back in 2016 when we went defeated.
Mm-hmm.
I would do anything to go back to those days, being in the shape I was in, having all my
Yeah.
buddies around me, not having many responsibilities, just going to school and playing football. I mean, getting my meals paid for. Like I would do absolutely anything to go back there and lose every single game again.
Mm-hmm.
But back then I was like, man, this sucks. I can't wait to graduate. I want a job. I
Right.
want to get out, blah, blah, blah. So, um, and I keep saying talking about my mom. I'm really close to my mom, but she always used to tell me back then, like, don't rush. Don't want to be done. Like
Yeah.
you're in the best part of your life right now. And back then I
Yeah.
didn't believe it, but now it's like, well, should have listened. I mean, she's got some years and some experience on me. So
Yeah. Definitely, man. And I think it's like it's interesting, kind of being at the age that we're at. Like a lot of our peers are maybe they've finished school, whether it's undergrad or grad school, and they're like in the working world. Maybe they're finishing up school now, whatever the case may be. But I feel like a lot of people our age and younger are like, I want to get to the end goal. I want to get to the destination, or whatever. Or I'm 25, like I need to have my whole life figured out. And
Right.
the thing that I have to remind myself, man, is like we're so young. Like hopefully we'll both be blessed enough to have a nice long life and everything. But it's like we have plenty of time to figure things out, and we might struggle now, or we might not know if the job we're in right now is the job we're gonna do, 5 years from now. But I think like that's okay. It's like this is the time to, learn what you want to do, learn who you are, learn what matters to you and what you like and don't like in life and professionally, and just like explore, man. Like the world is such a wide, vast place.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly right. I mean, 25. I mean, you can look at social media and be like, man, 25, I'm old, but
Yeah.
25, we're so young. I had an old neighbor of mine that he was 40 doing or probably 50 doing a career. And I was going into college, and I'm like, and back then in college, like if going from high school to college, I was like so worried that I didn't know what I wanted to get as a degree back then. It's like,
Hmm.
such a small little thing. It doesn't matter when you first go. But I was freaking out, and I'll never forget that he told me. He said, "I am 50 years old, and I still don't know what I want to do with my life." So,
Yeah.
um, it's kind of like you just have to live in the moment, and you just trust that everything is going to work out, because everything will work out. It works out for everybody.
Exactly. No, I completely agree, and I think that that's that's one of the hardest things to like rationalize, that like everything will work out. Like I think that we all worry that it won't, or even like you said, I felt the same way going into college, and even in college with the whole major minor decision. It's like, should I do this or that? And like in our minds, it's like, well, if I pick major X over major Y, like that's gonna alter my life completely. And it's like it really won't. Like it's
Yeah,
such a small thing, and it's a small decision. And I think that that's kind of like how a lot of life kind of feels like to me now. Like obviously there's big decisions, like what house to buy, whatever. But like at the end of the day, like it's just small decisions that we got to trust that they're gonna work out, and that one way or another, like you're gonna figure things out and end up on your feet.
exactly.
Awesome. So, Michael, I know we've talked a lot about sports and kind of your background, and we've talked a lot about people, but, what else would you say is like a big passion of yours, or are those kind of like the main things that you're focusing on these days, or that you've just enjoyed throughout your life so far?
Yeah, sports will forever be my passion.
Hmm.
I'm actually starting to think, like, now that I'm locked in a pretty good career, well, a great career that I can actually have for the rest of my life. Honestly, I'm thinking about trying to like get back into sports, maybe like helping be like an assistant coach at like high school, just really just for fun, and to kind of help out those kids. And I always think back, like high school football. I mean, I played college football, but like high school football, high school basketball, those are like my favorite parts of my life. And if I could be a part of that for kids that in that age as well, and make it a favorite part of their lives, I mean, that'd be incredible. Um, but I mean, I would say nowadays, I mean, and we kind of chatted on this earlier, before we hopped on this, is like, is people are 100% my passion. And I mean, I
Yeah.
with COVID, I'm working from home, um, not around as many people as I would like each day. And I get down, and I'm like, what's up? Like, why is my energy off today? What's going on? And then I go into the office, and my energy is just like 180-degree difference. So,
Yeah.
I mean, really during this pandemic, I realized how passionate I am about people, how much energy they bring me when I talk to them, help them out, anything like that. So, um, obviously, this coronavirus pandemic has been such it's been such like a downer for so many people, and obviously so many people have lost loved ones and friends during it and everything like that. But I think, there's always good in everything, and I think a lot of people are kind of able to sit back and really like think about themselves and the situations they're in and everything like that, um and really be able to kind of learn about themselves. And I mean, you're your own best friend. if you don't know even know
Hmm.
yourself, I mean, how you're going to be best friends with other people and friends and have relationships, stuff like that. So um, I feel like I'm just like on a weird rant right now, but
I know
um,
you're good, man.
so yeah, I mean, I just think it's so important. I mean, people are definitely passionate, but it's just so important to love yourself first before you can really go out there and show love to others. And
Yeah,
COVID's
definitely.
definitely been a thing where it's challenging that, but it's also
Hmm.
definitely growing that, because you have so much time to yourself. I mean, great analogy. People are stuck in their homes and um, during COVID and everything, and they're realizing, I don't really like this, and they're changing up their homes. I mean,
Yeah,
they're doing the same things with themselves.
right. Definitely. So first thing I have to say is I need you to give me your word that if you do ever go into coaching someday, especially high school, definitely, man, make sure you have those conversations about the importance of like mental health and especially how it impacts young athletes, and also kind of the conversation that we had about just like hype up your players about the next step and the next stage of their career, but also make sure you're showing them like, hey, you never know what's going to happen. Make sure you're taking your school seriously. Make sure you're kind of having those backup plans. So
Of
I
course,
need
of
you to
course.
promise that.
I promise that for sure. I mean,
Thank you, man.
I
Yeah.
knew that I was not really going to make it to the NFL or anything pretty early. I mean, I had dreams of going to different colleges and stuff like that. So like,
Hmm.
you obviously have to shift your gears and everything like that, but
Right.
you always have to be realistic with yourself and have those plans and backup plans. So
For sure. Definitely.
I
I
agree with
love
that.
that. Yeah. And, I think you brought up some great points about just kind of how the pandemic's impacted people. And I think it's one of those things that when I think about it, I think it's impacted us all very similarly, but also kind of differently. I think it just kind of depends on the person. But I think, like, in general, one of the toughest things for a lot of people is like sitting with yourself and just being alone and being
Yeah,
in that silence and like, just being under lockdown or whatever the case may be. Just, maybe you're not comfortable going out, or, whatever the case may be, you're staying in more, you're maybe more to yourself. If you're living alone, you're kind of stuck with yourself. And I think it's just getting comfortable with being by yourself, and like you said, like learning to love yourself and accept yourself. And like, just, I think I'm very much the person, and I know you are too, that like wants to help people. And I think that expression that, like, in order to help, like, to take care of others and to help others, you have to take care of yourself first. I think that's so important, and that's something that, like, I've learned growing up. Like, I want to help people, and I'll stay up all night and sacrifice getting sleep or eating or whatever, if it means helping a friend. But then I'm like, burnt out, and I can't function, and I'm like, well, I do need to take care of myself so I can take care of others and help others.
exactly. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
extremely important to take care. I mean, obviously, like and I'm sure you're the same way. Is like take care of others first, but I mean,
Hmm.
you also, I mean, you do have to be a little bit selfish and make sure that you're
Yeah.
good before you just go out and burn yourself at both ends.
100%. And I think that, like, even like you said, like the word, like, we have to be a little selfish. And I think that, like, that's the same way that I describe it to people. But like, I sit back and even hearing you say it, I'm like, wait, that's not really selfish, is it? Because it's like we're doing what we need and what we deserve. But
Right.
we, like, as people that want to help, we feel selfish from it. And I think it's just one of those things where it's like, the same, whether it's love or support or positivity that we give to others, I think sometimes we struggle giving that to ourselves. And that's the biggest opportunity, I think, that we can all grow from and learn to do a little better with.
For sure. For sure. Absolutely.
Definitely. And so I know you mentioned kind of with the pandemic and everything, the importance of loving yourself and everything like that. If you don't mind me asking, like, how's that journey been for you? Like, would you say that you're at a stage where you love yourself, you're accepting of yourself, or are you still trying to get to that point? And like, what have you done or are you doing on that journey?
Oh, I mean, I'll be straight up with you. I don't think I'm nearly close to where I want to be at all.
Okay.
Um, but I mean, this podcast is all about passion. It's kind of like I just kind of am trying to get back to what I'm passionate about, and
Yeah.
like working out. Like I went through like part of the pandemic, and like I know a lot of people out there did, and they stopped going to the gym, obviously, because it was closed at first, and then it just got into a routine where I'm not going to go tonight. I'm not going to go. So, that's been like my biggest thing, because I think exercising and being active and stuff is very, very big. Not just physically. I think it's actually more so mentally.
Hmm.
So just getting back into that. But I mean, the biggest thing is not being around as many people. And I'm down here in
Okay.
Tennessee, and my whole family's up in Michigan. And like during the pandemic, I mean, I didn't see them for shoot. I mean, it was probably about 7 months or so. And I mean, that's another one of my passions that I really haven't mentioned is my family. I'm extremely close to all my family, and that was extremely, extremely hard not to be able to be around them and stuff like that. So, um, being able to like go up there. I mean, I make the drive quite often. I'm starting to fly again now that stuff's somewhat starting to open back up. Um, that really I mean, it helps really anybody is just being around their family. So,
Yeah.
no, I mean, I don't think I'm anywhere close to where I want to be in the long run, but I don't think many people are. And
Great.
I think it takes quite a long time to fully love yourself. I
Yeah.
mean, if you even ever can get there, if you can ever get to 100% loving yourself, I mean, everybody, I mean, nobody's perfect, no
Right.
matter what it looks like on social media or anything. Nobody's perfect, and um, it's just about continuing to grow yourself and continue to build on your strengths, and then obviously eliminate your weaknesses and turn them into strengths.
Definitely, definitely. And I think that's it's really cool to hear that you like, you have that self-awareness and you kind of say like this is where I'm at. It's not where I want to be, and that's okay. And I want to get there someday if it is even, attainable at some point, but just knowing that it's a journey, right? And not
Yeah,
like having that expectation or pressure on yourself that you're like I need to love myself tomorrow 100%. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
just know that you're in it for the long haul. And, I think it's such a process. And it's one of those things where I'm sure all of us, we'd love to like snap our fingers and feel that way instantly, but it does take some time and it takes a lot of, learning about yourself and what makes you tick.
Hmm.
And yeah, I mean, some other things that you said that I thought were interesting that like I really resonated with when you mentioned like working out and everything. Cause I think like for me, and it sounds like you're kind of similar. It's like if you're like when I'm working out and when I'm eating pretty, healthy and everything, I feel like then the other aspects of my life are going well. Like my grades are going well, like my social life's going well, my mental health's going well, my family relationships, like everything's going well. Whereas I feel like a lot of people, it's like I need to like have my mind right so I can go like motivate myself to work out or to eat a specific way or something. But for me it's always been like if I can push myself to like get my exercise and like eat pretty healthy, like I feel like everything else just kind of falls in place from it.
Yeah, no, I totally
Yeah.
agree. I think I'm reading this book right now. It's about like prospecting and cold
Okay.
calling and stuff like that. As I'm in sales for the banking industry, kind of.
Yeah.
Um, and it says like the harder you work, um, and I mean I might be way off with this with what I'm saying here, but like it says like the harder you work and like the more calls you make, stuff like that, like the luckier you get.
Mhm.
Um, I kind of think that it's kind of like that. Like if you really tackle one of your like things that you really want to do, or two of them, and you're really like focused on them. I mean, you tend to get more lucky, and you tend to have other things fall in place. I mean,
Yeah.
I don't think everything is nobody plans for everything to happen in the right way. So a lot of the stuff that happens is luck. So I mean,
Yeah.
I just think I don't know. That book, that what they said in that book is like if you just do this and this, like you're working hard, like you'll end up getting, oh, okay, I'm gonna get a really good referral that I don't
Yep.
really have to work hard on. I'm gonna get this because I'm doing all this stuff. Like once
Yeah.
you really work hard, you do start to get more lucky.
For sure. I totally agree with that. And I don't know if this is like a famous quote or where this came from, but I had a coach growing up say luck favors the prepared. And again, sorry to anyone out there that they're like, oh my God, that was, so and so. How do you not know that? It very well might be someone famous, but
I don't know it.
I've always loved that. Like,
I like that
luck
though.
favors the prepared, right? Like when you're prepared, when you're working hard, that's when like people kind of get lucky. And I'm sure, someone listening to this could think of that friend that like never, works hard or tries anything. It's like, well, they just like won a car. And like, of course they just got like the job I've been wanting for like years. So yeah, there's going to be examples like that. But, Michael, like you said, and what it sounds like the book is kind of talking about is like when you work hard and put in that mentality, the luck's going to find you. And I think that kind of thinking back to like when I was doing sales and stuff like that, it's just like, if you make 100 calls versus 1,000 calls, you're more likely to hit something on 1,000 calls just because the sheer fact that you've done it, 900 more times. So I think just like that repetition and the more reps that we can get at it, the more chances of striking gold with it.
Exactly. Absolutely.
So you said you're in sales, and I know that a lot of, whether I know them personally or just read about them or heard of them, a lot of ex-athletes seem to turn to sales. Did you kind of do that because of like the competitiveness and like I know with sometimes sales there can be that team atmosphere, or like was there anything that led you specifically there?
I just got connected with the right people, and
Okay.
then I got into it, and it was that competitiveness really did resonate with me, and it was like competitiveness outside of sports that I loved,
Mm-hmm.
I do love. I didn't like particularly pick it,
Right.
but I've always liked businesses and stuff like that, and I love numbers, and I love like finance and stuff like that. So like I really learned sales a lot in my first job. And I just love the competitiveness. I love the team aspect of it, and now I got into this role, which is like I work for U.S. Bank, and I'm a banking specialist, but it is basically sales because I have to make those cold calls. I have to call those leads, those referrals, those um, different lists that generate and stuff like that. So I don't know if that's a really good question. That's something that I should
Mm-hmm.
really like sit back and think about, because I don't know what I mean. Nothing like specific drew me to it, but
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've been absolutely blessed with my two jobs that I've had since
Yeah.
college, and they both are sales, and I thoroughly enjoyed the first one, and I really enjoy the one I'm doing now. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, that's a really good question. That's something I need to really think about, is um like what drew me to it so much, and I want to say it's the competitiveness, but
Yeah.
um I don't know. I like to be the leader of the group.
Mm-hmm.
And now that I'm in the banking industry, like I'm absolutely not, because I just started it and there's so much to learn. But
Right.
yeah, that's a really good question. That's something I need to kind of think about more.
Yeah, get back to me on that. I'd be curious to hear what your thoughts are. But yeah, I mean, from just knowing you and hearing kind of you talk, even for this podcast, it sounds like, sales kind of gives you that competitiveness that you had from sports, and it also kind of gives you, the ability to really kind of, when you think about being an athlete or just even working out, for sports, like whatever time you put in the gym or on the field, like that's what you're going to get out of it, right? Like, if you're standing at a jug machine for 2 hours, that's, going to give you more benefit than if you do it for 30 minutes. So it's like with
Exactly.
sales, it's the same kind of concept. Whatever you put into it, that's what you're going to get out of it. And I think at the same time, you're very passionate about people. So knowing that you're able to, connect with people, and even like the cold calling, I know like some people, you know, hate the idea of it, and you know teach their own with that. But I think like I could see for you that might actually be something exciting, like, hey, I get to call these random people and they might tell me to go jump off a cliff, but like they might also like say something really cool and we might have a great conversation. So
Yeah. No,
just hearing how much you like to connect with people, I think that makes sense too.
that's funny you say that. Is actually I actually really do enjoy cold calling people. I mean,
Yeah.
I think during my interview, my first job, I told them, I brought up football. I was like, I lost 29 games in a row, and because they were like, what do you think? How do you think you deal with being told no? Because obviously sales is a
Yeah.
big thing on being told no. And
Yeah.
I said I was told no 29 times in a row, and we didn't win a game. So
Hmm.
I brought that into it, and I mean that's a huge thing. And then like you said, like I do love to do those cold calls, and they talking to people energizes me.
Hmm.
So I actually have it on my calendar every day that when I wake up, I get on my computer, I just like kind of check emails and stuff like that. And from 8:15 to 8:45, I try to knock out cold calls just to kind of wake myself up for the day and energize me.
Yeah.
And then obviously take lunch. Right after lunch, I mean, everybody knows after you take lunch, you're pretty tired. You need that nap.
Yeah.
So I like to hop back on and do another 30 minutes of cold calling just to kind of like energize me throughout the day. And I think it's really important to structure um, schedules like that and kind of block that time away. Because if you get taken away from anything, I mean, you lose focus on anything. I mean, you're going to be like, oh, I'll procrastinate. I'll do it tomorrow instead. So
Right.
um, yeah, I mean that's another thing is like with these sales jobs. I mean it's very much so you have to have your own determination. You have to be able to make your own
Hmm.
schedule. You have to find your own motivation.
Yep.
So I think that's another thing that kind of draws me to it because I mean that's how it is with sports.
Yeah, definitely. And I think it's just awesome to hear kind of what you're up to and like all these parallels that you're drawing from sports. Because I think that, you know, a lot of people that aren't in sports or maybe they just don't like sports or think it's just a game or whatever, which granted it is, there really is so many life lessons that you can learn from it. And just I think anyone that you talk to or that I've talked to in my life personally that has grown up playing sports at a pretty high level, even if it's just high school, there's so much that make them who they are that they've learned from the field or the court or whatever the case may be. And it's really cool to hear that kind of like personified with you.
Absolutely, yeah. I think it's important to just not really forget what got you to where you were and all the lessons
Hmm.
you learned. I mean, they're not lessons unless you remember them and you learn from them. So,
Totally. I know it's probably maybe tough, but do you have one lesson that you would say would be like the biggest lesson that you learned from your time as an athlete?
hmm, um, lesson about just like life in general.
Yeah, just life in general, or something that like you still carry with you today, or that's like helped you become the person that you are. Anything that was just really like impactful from your time playing sports.
Um, I would honestly say, I mean, this is a pretty important thing for me is I remember my freshman year I came in um scared little kid. I mean, coming from from Canton, Michigan to down to Tennessee at a Division I AA college, like super scared. Kind of wanted to stick around like my position group and people that I thought I'd be really comfortable with and stuff like that. Um, and like I mean like another freshman and stuff like that, just kind of sticking around people. And I'll never forget. Like I remember this one dude. I was just like I was like I really don't like that guy. Like blah blah blah. Like never gave him a chance. And I mean I don't know what it was my freshman year that like kind of like turned me off to him. And I just like I said I really just never gave him a chance. Really got to never know him. And then I mean, fast forward 3 years into my senior year, both of
Hmm.
our senior years, I was like, that was like my best friend. He was like the coolest dude. I mean, we were
Yeah.
super tight. And it really taught me just to kind of like get to know people. I mean,
Yeah.
you can look at someone and like, you can see how they act for like 5 minutes and then make a total judgment on them. But
Hmm.
if you truly like get to know somebody and kind of get to hear their story and what makes them tick, it can really change. It can really change. I mean that like I'll never forget that story because that really changed my life. And I mean, absolutely anybody I meet. I mean, I try to every single person I walk by, I try to like greet with a smile, just because. I mean, shoot, you never know. That could be your boss, your hiring agent.
Yeah.
what do you call it? Like a recruiter. That could be a recruiter
Yep.
down the road that'll remember that, or they would
Hmm.
remember if you were rude. So just to really never judge somebody based on a short amount of time or your outlook on life or whatever, and just really give everybody the time of day.
Yeah.
And I mean, the biggest thing, I mean, one of my coaches used to always say, like, what's your why? And basically like what makes you tick. And I think
Hmm.
it's just important to like kind of like hear everybody out and like understand what their why is. And um you'll have so many more friends and so many more acquaintances and people going forward in life if you do that.
Definitely. No, I love hearing you say that. And I think that I always say, I've said it a lot on the podcast. So to anyone listening, you've probably heard me say this like 50 times by now. But, every opportunity that we're put in, every person that we meet is an opportunity to learn something. We just have to be open to that. And that goes as simple as, you know, thinking about the pandemic where we live in, going out to do carry out food, and you go to the restaurant and pick it up. Just taking a second, hey, how are you, to the person that hands you your food, how's your day going, what's going on, and just like engaging with these people. When you go to the grocery store, someone that's bagging your groceries or checking you out, like have a conversation with them, ask how they're doing, ask how their day's going. Say, hey, like, I see you're wearing a, Tennessee Titans shirt. Are you a big football fan? You just make those conversations, because you never know. And I think going back to like the mental health stuff that we talked about earlier, like you never know, like that like friendly conversation could completely turn around someone's day too.
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Awesome. Michael, I'm going to put you on the spot for a second now, if I hope you don't
Oh
mind.
God, here we go.
Um, you mentioned in kind of like the last kind of anecdote you were talking about with your coach, kind of challenging everyone about what is their why. So,
Oh
what's
God.
your why?
um Man, I shouldn't have brought that up, because now I can't think.
No, you're good.
um well, I mean, I would say, I mean, to kind of be like to be like just a simple why.
Hmm.
um I would say my family's probably my why. I mean, I was absolutely blessed um throughout my and I still am throughout my whole life of growing up, um and the things that my family were able to give to me, and how much easier of a honestly easier of a life I have because of my family. So um I really would say like my why is like I've been put in such a good position that, I mean, if there's anything else but success, I mean, it's 100% on me.
Hmm.
um and I mean, I want to be someone who my nieces and nephew and future kids look up to. So,
Yeah.
um, just thinking about like the long term of my life, and I mean, just like I do with like I mean, start my 401k already and stuff like that. Just like thinking like putting a lot of money aside for my future kids, and I don't even have a wife to make them with yet. But
Right.
just kind of like thinking about that, and like I said, I mean, it's 100% family. I
Hmm.
was put in such a great place from my family, that I want to try to I want to try to do that for my kids, and kind of like multiply that because of how good of a spot I was in.
I love that, man.
Is
That's
that a good
awesome. That's a
why?
great. That's a great why. That's a great why to have, man. And I think that I can hear, just when you talk about your family, whether it's now on this recording or before we hopped on, just how much your family means to you. And I think that that's awesome, right? Like, we only have one family, and I totally believe in the thing that people say, like family, can be chosen too, right? Like, you might have
Yeah.
someone in your life that you consider family, that you played with in college, that obviously not family, but like they feel like it. So
Right.
even if you don't feel like you have that with your quote unquote actual family, whoever you decide is your family, or you consider that family, is so important. And I think that that's a great motivator and a great why for you, and for all of us to have. And kind of what you're saying is like leaving that like almost a legacy. Like, how can I I've been so fortunate for the life that I have and for what my family's done for me and sacrificed for me. Like, how can I pay it forward almost and leave that legacy for my, future family, or, like you said, your niece's nephew? Like, how can you just give the same kind of, you know, just opportunities and love, and support that you receive to like the younger kids in your family, or even your own kids someday.
Exactly. Yeah. Um,
Definitely.
yeah, I mean, it can go both ways too. Like, I
Yeah.
have a lot of buddies of mine that their families there. Why? Um, because they weren't given a lot of opportunities
Hmm.
that I was, and they want to like, they still, and I mean, this is like extremely deep to me because it's like, and they want to be the ones that kind of turn it around and help out their families and stuff like that. So that's something that I always love to hear, because I mean, everybody's so different, but it's like we still have the same reason that we tick and that we wake up each
Yeah,
morning. So
exactly. I love that you said that, because I think like we all have those same motivators, those same things that make us who we are, but like we all just have different stories.
exactly, yeah,
And
exactly,
you don't know what the story is until you kind of, like we talked about, have those conversations and get to know people, and maybe get to know the people that you never thought you would ever want to get to know, or even
yep,
cross paths with. You
exactly,
never know.
yep.
So awesome, man.
You can never
So
judge a book by its cover.
no, you can't. I feel like that's what probably something we all hear in like elementary school, but that's
Yeah,
so true, especially, when you get into the older years of your life, and, high school, college, adulthood, and everything. Just never judge a book by its cover, because you never know.
exactly.
Awesome. So, um, Michael, one like the last kind of things I was gonna ask you about is, so you mentioned your job with the bank right now, and you said it's sales based. Are you able to kind of say like what kind of sales you do, or like not really able to do that on something like this?
No,
Just
no,
out of
yeah, for sure,
curiosity.
yeah, for sure. It's so I work for U.S. Bank, and then
Hmm.
I'm called my title is called a business banking specialist. Um,
Okay.
so basically, what I do, well, first of all, I'm still trying to figure out exactly what I do because I'm like at the 6 month mark, and there's still a lot to the job that I've really haven't like I've just scratched the surface. Really, I haven't really
Mhm.
got to dig super deep into it, just because it is a lot to learn. It's like I'm back in college. Um,
Yep.
but basically what I do is I have to cold call businesses. But I do, I mean, obviously I do have a portfolio. I do have referrals that I get. It's not just straight up cold calling, but um, just have conversations with business owners, how we can help them. Sometimes I open up business like checking accounts and savings accounts for them.
Okay.
Sometimes I can get them a credit card to help them out with their business. I can help them finance a vehicle, a piece of equipment, help them with some general business asset loans, stuff like that. And then also just like line of credits for helping managing like their operating and stuff
Okay.
like that. So um, and that's another thing that's like I said, I love finance, I love people, and I love to help others. So it's really
Hmm.
like the perfect job for me, and
Yeah.
I'm absolutely blessed that I have it, and I'm excited as I keep going, because like I said, I just scratched the surface, and
Yeah.
I'm really looking forward to getting where I really don't have just tunnel vision when I have conversations, and I can branch conversations out for all aspects of the person.
Totally. I love that. And it sounds like it is a great, fit for you, right up your alley with your passions and interests. So, that's awesome. And I know you mentioned just kind of scratching the surface, but I have no doubt that, with your, tenacity and drive and work ethic, that you'll be breaking that surface, and you'll be doing great things with it. And it sounds like a great fit. So
Well,
super
I
happy
appreciate
for
it,
you,
man.
man.
I appreciate
Of
it.
course. Yeah. And so, and it is just, essentially helping businesses with their financial options, or it's not like
It
anyone
is. It is.
you don't
It's
help
yep.
personal people? Okay.
No, specifically, I don't. But I mean,
Okay.
if I have a business owner reach out to me hey, my wife needs some help on the personal side, or I need some help on the personal side, I can refer them to somebody that can help with that. So I mean,
Okay.
there's so many different partners that I have. And like I said, it is a
Hmm.
total team. It's one big team that any type of problem, any type of help that somebody needs, we're able to do it. Whether it's me, whether it's somebody across the state of Tennessee, whether it's, I mean, anybody, but
Gotcha.
I can ensure that they go to the right people, which at the end of the day
Awesome.
makes you feel good when you're helping people out.
Yeah, definitely. And Michael, is this just in Tennessee, or do you like help folks
It
all
is it
throughout like the
it is
country
just
or
in
the world?
Tennessee. It is just in
Okay.
Tennessee. U.S. Bank is actually located in 25 different not countries, 25 different states. So
Okay.
I mean, I'm just dealing with like really three territories, aka cities in Tennessee. But
Okay.
somebody could call me that's within 50 miles of a U.S. bank and get a loan and use me. But they probably have somebody for that area that can help them. So
Okay.
yeah,
Okay.
it's really just around this area for me in particular.
Gotcha. Well, I do have some family in Tennessee. I have some friends in Tennessee. So if any of you are listening and are business owners or anything, definitely, I think Michael would be a great person to utilize and have some conversations with. And even if maybe you don't live in Tennessee, but you're like, hey, I have a business and I don't know what the heck I need to do financially. Like, even I'm sure if you just want to have a conversation about like just the basics or how to get started in the right direction. I'm sure Michael would be happy to have that conversation and like share some of his knowledge or insight or point you in the right direction or help you find a US bank in your area or whatever. So definitely I think Michael's a great resource, but especially if you're in the area, I think he's your guy, great guy, and definitely knows his stuff. So
Well,
um,
I appreciate
maybe
those
someone
words,
to
man.
talk
I
to you about.
appreciate it.
Yeah. Of course, man. Um, Michael, is there, kind of just mentioned there, people could reach out if they have questions or anything, but do you have like any sort of like social media or any, like, do you have like an email or anything that you would want to put out if anyone wants to get in touch or connect with you?
Yeah, I have really social media.
Okay.
We're talking about how bad social
Right.
media is, but I have every single one of them.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I have shoot, Twitter, Instagram, LinkedIn. I love LinkedIn. I think
Okay.
that's one social media platform that isn't absolutely addicting, that just takes over everything.
Yeah.
Um, so I use LinkedIn, Facebook a lot, and really Instagram, Twitter is just for like that instant satisfaction that we were talking
Mhm.
about, and the news and stuff like that.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah. So I'll be sure to get, some of your social media, like your LinkedIn, and I can put it in the description of this episode. So for anyone listening, if something that we've talked about or that Michael said really resonated with you, feel free to reach out to him, or if you do have any banking questions, if you are in Tennessee or just in general, I'm sure Michael would be happy to help. Feel free to reach out. I'm sure he'd love to have a conversation. And as we talked about, his passions, people, and connecting. So I'm sure whether it's someone, maybe you went to school with or someone that you don't even know who Michael is before listening to this, I'm sure he'd love to chat. So I'll put that all in the description. Feel free to look there and click down there if you want to reach out. But other than that, Michael, do you have any last thoughts, words, or message or anything for anyone listening?
No, not pertaining to me. I just think this is a really cool thing that you started. I think it's incredibly important for people to really dive deep and understand what their passions are. Obviously, you're very passionate about people and talking to people. So you're without without you even really knowing, I think you're really having these conversations with people and putting them up on Facebook and stuff like that, and stuff like that. I really think that you're really helping people more than you even know. So I think this is awesome. I love to keep up with these whenever you post these, and I really hope you keep with it, because you're definitely doing something that you love to do. It's obvious, and like I said, you're definitely helping people more than you know. Whether that's the people like me talking right now to you, or people listening to them, um, and kind of getting different perspectives on everything. And I feel like we brought up a couple good quotes that people could write down, even
Yeah.
if we didn't know who exactly said them. So. but yeah, I mean, I just think this is a really cool thing. I mean, we were talking about technology earlier. It's really cool. I downloaded this app in about 5 seconds and signed in with Apple. Just used my face, and it took about 5 minutes, and we were on the call. So
Yeah.
um, yeah, no, just it's a really cool thing, and I appreciate you letting me kind of just chat with you, and I'm honored to be on this. So you're gonna make it big someday. I know it.
Thank you, man. That means so much. Every single thing you said, all the kind words, seriously means so much to me. I just love connecting with people and having these conversations. I'm so grateful to be able to connect with people like yourself, man. And if one person in the world listens to any of these and feels like they learn something or something resonated with them, or that they're not alone with struggling about, for our conversation today, growing up and being an adult, or transitioning out of a sport, or getting into a sales job, whatever the case may be. Like if one person enjoyed anything that's ever come up out of these podcasts, man, it's all worth it to me.
For sure.
I'd love for this to go huge and for me to, have my own TV show, whatever. I mean, that's definitely, kind of the dream, right? Someday. But at the end of the day, man, I'm just driven to do this to try to help people. And without people like you who have great stories and insight and just advice to share, man, this wouldn't be possible. So I'm grateful for you and your time, and it's a pleasure getting to chat with you. Like I said, man, I have no doubt that you're going to do amazing things with your career and just in your personal life, man. It sounds like you're on the right journey. You've always had a great head on your shoulders, and you're going to be doing some great things. So, this isn't the last time that anyone's going to hear the name Michael Hoover. Michael's going to do some really great things. So keep up with his journey. I know I will, and I'm excited to connect with you again. And we'll definitely have to have you back on the podcast sometime. If you ever want to come back, you're always more than welcome.
For sure, man. I'd love that, and I really appreciate the words.
Yeah,
And I'll be in touch with you for sure.
for sure, man. All right, awesome. Thanks so much. I'll talk to you later.
All right, man. Take care.
You too. Bye.